You're on it.
All right. We're on, and I'm sharing my screen, and I'm just going to see, did anyone put something in the chat? Okay. This will be pretty common, the technical issues, hopefully not that common. Hopefully we'll get around those a little bit more. Hi, Lindsay. Good morning. I'm looking forward to starting social work, all the information and learning that comes. Nervous about studying, as though it's been a long time. And in terms of that, Lindsay, I want you to be aware that there's lots of resources available. So head into the library, flow sites. There's heaps of information around and available to kind of set you up for success. Lauren's in here. She's nervous about balancing study, work and kids. Yes, all I can say is give it a go, and it is tricky. I'm hoping that the COVID situation is going to stabilise a little bit, and it's going to make it easier for you guys to do some study. But I have to agree, it is actually very tricky to find that balance. We've got Ethan, excited to learn about psychology. Yes, and so social work does draw on knowledges from psychology, but also sociology. So social work brings together a variety of different knowledges. Psychology is one of those. Brooke's in here as well. You're excited to meet new people, and I hope we get to do that face to face. And I'm hoping that the tutorials that you get to engage in will provide you with that opportunity. So my understanding is we won't be doing any large group sessions at all on campus. So none of the lectures in the big lecture theatres with hundreds of students, but we will be trying to bring students back on campus for small group sessions as much as possible. So the tutorial sessions. What else? I'm looking at Maisie May. I'm looking forward to meeting new people, learning new things. So you're worried about the jump from high school to uni and the large difference between responsibility and workload. Really good points, Maisie. And what you'll find in a lot of your topics is while your contact hours are pretty minimal, there is an expectation that you'll do at least 7 hours on top of those 2 contact hours that you have doing extra reading, working on your assessments, and doing a lot of that independent work. So it is really important to try and stay on top of things as much as possible. Nikita's nervous but excited about some of the hands-on learner work, and once again, yes, we're hoping to bring you back on campus. We do have a skills topic. Well, we've got lots of skills topics actually, but one more in first year, which I'll talk a bit more about later, and there's 3 skills topics in second year to prepare you before you go on placement in third year and your second placement in fourth year. But I'll talk through the social work course. Dylan's worried about staying on top of the workload. So you'll have 4 topics each semester, and a couple of hours, as I said, contact, but then the expectation. What I really suggest you do at the start of your semester is to get all your topic information booklets and find out when all your assessments are due, and do a bit of a map of that as early as possible. So map out and start to plan when your assessments are due, to kind of look across the semester at the level of an amount of work that you've got. Seb's keen to meet everyone, and oh, you've had a gap year. Oh, good on you, Seb. That sounds great. And welcome back to study. I hope you can get back into it after your gap year. And Jasmine's hoping to move into counselling in future, and so social work is a really good generic degree to get you on track for that career path. So that's very exciting. Okay, let's keep going. Now I'm gonna have to. All right. Now, I can't, sorry folks, I'm just trying to get my right PowerPoint presentation up so I can see what you're seeing. Okay, that's better. All right, so now I'm going to talk a bit more about some of the things that you should either have in place or be getting in place in the next couple of weeks. The earlier you get these things sorted, the better in terms of getting organised. Firstly, your student card. You need to request your student card through Order My ID card as part of the systems section of Compass. So this student card will allow you to borrow things from the library. It may allow you access to certain rooms and facilities and things along those lines. So it's a bit of a lifeline as you walk around campus. So make sure you get your student ID card sorted as early as you possibly can. Next one, just so you know, I can't see the chat at the moment. So if you do have questions, please switch your mic on and ask those questions. Really happy for you to do that. Or I will, if you can save your questions till the end, remember those, I'll take questions as well. So please feel free to switch your mic on and interrupt. Very happy to take questions as we go. Another thing that you should have done by now, but you may not have, is to enroll in your topics. So go to the new student section of Compass, and that provides you with some information about how you enroll. So if you haven't already, you need to do this as soon as possible and get a timetable that works as well as possible for you. In terms of those timetables, some of those sessions may be full by now. So if you've enrolled really early, you're likely to get your first preference, but you may not get your first preference enrolling at this point. So that's just a mental note for next time when you need to enrol in your topics, to do that as early as possible to get your preferred timetable as early as possible. You will find that some of your topics have textbooks attached to them. I also teach the Introduction to Social Work topic, and we do have a textbook in that topic. I have it right here, The Road to Social Work and Human Service Practice, which you can't see because you're looking at the screen. And so you can find that in the Flow site, which has gone live today. You'll be able to access that. The library has limited copies of most of the textbooks. They have some have hard copies, and some there are electronic books versions which you can access as well. In terms of those, I really encourage you to start thinking about starting to build your professional library. Some of the textbooks you may not need, but some of them can be a really useful career-long reference or resource. I can suggest that you also, there's no bookseller on campus anymore, that you need to source those books using online sellers. So please have a look at those online resources and find the most competitive deal that you can. You'll find that their price varies quite dramatically amongst those providers. So have a bit of a look and see what you can find. In terms of getting here, there's lots of ways to get to Flinders University, whether you're driving, whether you're catching the bus, whether you're on or using the new railway system. It is a really big campus, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time the first time you get to come on campus. There's lots of ways to get here, and we do encourage you to use sustainable methods if you can. There are buses that link to Bedford Park, Sturt and Tonsley campuses, and there's a bus that actually goes from campus to campus as well. And so there's a variety of different buses and ways of getting around once you're on campus too. And there's multiple car parks if you are driving. So find the one basically that you can get a park in would be my tip, but also be mindful that you need to buy a ticket to be able to park in those car parks as well. So they are ticketed car parks. Any questions so far? Anyone game enough to switch their mic on and ask a question? Not yet? Okay.
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah.
With Cello Park, can you park in any car park?
Yes, there are restricted blue bays though, which you can't park in. So there are some restrictions around those, but my understanding is that you can park in any of the other areas within those car parks, so any of the car parks around campus.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's all right. Any other questions?
I did think I heard you say at one stage that is it everything online at the moment, is it, or are some things already back on campus?
Not definitely the big lectures. They will be online, and pretty much they'll be online the full semester.
Yeah.
At the moment, the tutorials are starting online, but first years are getting pretty much priority or skills. So sessions where we're building, developing skills, you're learning about skills, they'll be sessions that will be done face-to-face and will be our priority to get back on campus as soon as we can.
Okay, thanks.
And for detailed information about that, have a look at your flow site for each of your topics, and that should be either in the introductory sort of statement or put a question on the discussion chat if there's no information available about that on that front intro page or in the topic information booklet. In terms of thanks for your questions. In terms of your, the next slide, scholarships, there are scholarships available. You don't need to be a top performing student to be able to apply for some of these scholarships. So sometimes it can be very helpful to have a little bit more financial support to allow you to do or concentrate on your studies. So have a look at the scholarships website and see if you're eligible for any of those scholarships. In terms of Wi-Fi, when you come on campus, the EduRoom Wi-Fi is fantastic. It's way better than my Wi-Fi at home. To access that, you will need your FAN and your uni password, but pretty much you can set it up so that as soon as you come on campus, it just automatically connects. And so that's a valuable resource to get set up as soon as you come back on campus. In terms of orientation, it is a really important part of your starting journey, your learning journey. There's a whole range of different O-Week activities. Some of these are coming back on campus, so please have a look at the O-Week orientation, finding your way flow site to see some of those availabilities and what sort of activities are happening. But then the following 3 weeks, there's activities as well. So the 21st to the 4th of March is Connect Week. And so there's a whole range of different activities in relation to that. There is then the Wellbeing Week from the 7th to the 11th of March. And following that, a Skills Week. And so there's a whole series of different activities and things that you can engage in and be involved in on campus. There is an orientation planner, so check out all the events and activities at that website so that you can actually engage with and make the most of your orientation. One of the another resource as part of the orientation is the online Welcome Hub. It's a drop-in session to ask anything. Remember, there's no stupid questions, so please make the most of that opportunity to ask all of those questions that you might have. The idea behind all of these things is to reduce your nervousness, to reduce your anxiety about what you need to do and how you might go about doing it. We want to set you up for success. It's really important for us to support you as much as we can to get you through this first year in particular, but then set you up for success for second, third and fourth years as well. There's a whole heap of video resources that have been developed and included in an orientation video library. These will help you learn how to use your Flinders Learning Online site, the Flow site, which I think I've said a couple of times already without explaining what that stands for. So that's basically where you'll find all of your topics. So the subjects that you'll be doing, you'll have a different flow site for each of those. And there's also the Bachelor of Social Work flow site as well. And there's also a field placement flow site as well. But you hopefully, if you're interested, Janine Harrison is doing a session later on this morning that you might be interested in attending to learn a little bit more about field placement. Not quite relevant if you're in first year, but definitely relevant for third and fourth years. So things about textbooks and doing readings, understanding assignments and grades, studying for success, support available to you at Flinders, and managing your wellbeing while you're at uni. So a whole heap of resources that have been specifically designed to support you. There is a lot of help that's available for you. We have some things to help you find your way around Flinders. It's a massive campus. I think when I started here about 5 years ago, it took me a good 6 months to to be able to get from one end of the campus to the other without using stairs, which I must say is quite an achievement. It's a huge campus, but it's certainly a really good campus if you want to stay fit and healthy with lots of stairs. But I also recommend that you try and get somewhere by the lake to enjoy the view. The view from this campus is absolutely amazing. So getting on campus as soon as you can will be really important. There's a whole heap of other things to provide sort of support opportunities. Oops, hang on a sec, I'm going back. Sorry. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing that screen and start sharing this one. No, it's not going to work. Now you don't have anything. Sorry, I thought I was going to be able to share you with the links. I can't quite do it. Okay, let's get back to that. Apologies, folks. More technical finding my way. I should have just kept it as it was. There's a variety of different support services available for students on campus. I will make slides available to you on the BSW Flow site, which you should have access to as well, so that you can go in and use some of the links too, and have a look at the resources that are available. One of those is a service called OASIS, which is the Student Wellbeing Centre. It's designed to support the physical, emotional, social and spiritual needs of students on campus so they can achieve their academic and personal success. And so there's a variety of different resources, activities, programs that they have available there. They also have really practical things like microwaves so you can heat up your lunch. It provides an opportunity and a space where you might be able to meet other people as well. And there is a link which I will once again provide to you to hear the Oasis team talk about the services that they offer. They aren't actually open at the moment, but as I said, should be open in the next couple of weeks as we try and bring as many students back on campus as we can. There is also a mentoring program. The UnderGrad program is designed to help you to settle into life at Flinders, and the mentoring program as part of that connects you with a student mentor, but you need to register to be able to participate in that. So once again, connect with the UnderGrad and set yourself up if you are interested in doing that or being part of the mentoring program. Your safety on campus is really important to us. If you witness or experience any socially unacceptable behaviour or harassment, we're encouraging you to make a confidential report. You can do that online or email or via phone. Making a report doesn't initiate a complaint, but it's a first step in a means to offer confidential support to you. So please do something about it. As I said, your safety on campus is really important to us, and any unacceptable behaviour isn't tolerated. We do have course and student representatives here as well. Really encourage you to think about becoming either a course representative or a student representative. If you're interested, please reach out to the Flinders University Students Association. But the processes sort of pretty much are open now, and we really kind of recommend your input is really important. This year in particular, we're going into an accreditation year. What that means is the Bachelor of Social Work program is accredited externally by the Australian Association of Social Workers, and we need student input into that process, and so it's really important that we have student reps giving feedback about the program, but also to inform the future development of it as well. And there's a number of different committees that you might be asked to be representative on. Things at the college level, so the College Education Committee, there's student progress committees. There's a whole variety of different committees that if you become a course or student rep, you might be invited to be involved in. So we have we actually try and have 1 or 2 for each year in the Bachelor of Social Work, and we also run a Masters of Social Work undergraduate degree as well, and that program also has student representatives on it as well. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the actual Bachelor of Social Work, and I do have a slide on the Bachelor of Social Work Honours as well. I was hoping to play a session with the previous Bachelor of Social Work course coordinator, Dr. Renee Summers, who's currently on parenting leave. And I'll make this available, as I mentioned, so that you're able to access those. This is something that we hope that you become familiar with. This is the front page, the current front page of the Australian Association of Social Workers website. It's the social workers professional body, and our courses are accredited to meet the requirements of the Australian Association of Social Workers. Upcoming on the 15th of March is World Social Work Day. You can become a student member of the AASW. You don't have to. There's no obligation to become a member of the AASW. But I do suggest that you have a look at their website. It's got some really valuable resources. It includes a copy of our Code of Ethics, which I'll also be introducing you to in Introduction to Social Work topic as well. In the Bachelor of Social Work, in the undergraduate degree, there are 144 units that you need to complete the Bachelor of Social Work. And as I said, it's a professional degree where graduates are eligible for membership with the AASW. There are a number of expectations that the AASW place on us in providing the program to you. One of those is 20 days of face-to-face learning across the whole program. So for online students, they must attend for a minimum of 20 days face-to-face learning. Other expectations that are placed on us in terms of your degree. So these are the things that allow our degree to be accredited. Some of the things. There's 2 500-hour field education placements. So these are opportunities where you are based in a social work agency with a social work supervisor who's either on-site or off-site, and you are in basically a social work learning environment, learning how to be a social worker. There's a series of inherent requirements. I suggest that you have a look at those on the website. They're available to you on the Bachelor of Social Work Flow site. There's a link, but they're also available online in the Flinders website. We also have a charter on professional conduct for student social workers. The whole idea behind this is that we are training you to become professional social workers, and that starts now that you're enrolled, basically. As soon as you are in the degree and starting to do your work, we're asking you to engage in professional conduct. So any of the emails that you send to your topic coordinators, please be mindful that we ask that you follow and pay attention to the Charter of Professional Conduct, and that you engage in professional conduct at all times when you're on campus, in your online engagement, in the flow sites, but also in your email correspondence as well. It is possible to put in a request for prior learning. So if you have, there's certain diplomas from TAFE that you may be eligible for recognition of prior learning. And if you have been working in the industry under the supervision of a social worker, you may be eligible for recognition of prior learning for your placement. It is only possible to get that for one placement, and that's the first placement. And so but there is a rather lengthy process involved, and if you're interested or thinking that you might be eligible for that, I recommend that you have that you attend the session that Janine Harrison will be running a bit later this morning to find out more about that. As I mentioned, we have a Master of Social Work degree, which is an undergraduate program as well, which is 2 years, but you need to have completed an undergraduate degree to enter that. And we also, what we're focusing on is the Bachelor of Social Work, which is a 144 unit program across 4 years. I have mentioned already, we do have a Bachelor of Social Work flow site. On this flow site, it's an opportunity for you to communicate with each other, but also to communicate with the course coordinator, asking questions at the course level. So if you have course level questions, then that's the location for those. It's also a site or a location where I might post things that come from industry. Often we get job opportunities or job offers, and they'll be posted on the through the announcement section, but there's also a discussion forum opportunity as well. And so the discussion one you can post, the announcements only I can post to distribute to you. But it is where you receive a whole variety of different information about the course, the sector and other opportunities. And we do post things about the AASW on there as well, and the opportunities that they have available for students too. So what are you going to be studying? I have a couple of slides now about the topics within the Bachelor of Social Work. So this is the current program of study, which is it's the first time that we have run the second year of this particular program of study. And so in first year, you'll see that there are two topics that are coded SOAD, and SOAD is the social work delivered. The other topics are delivered across the college. But as I mentioned earlier, I had a student who was interested in psychology. You will see that there's a couple of topics in psychology, but also sociology. So we draw on a variety of different knowledges in social work in preparing you to become social workers. And Indigenous ways of knowing and being as well. And so there are a couple of Indigenous studies topics as well. The SOAD 1014, interpersonal skills, is the first skills topic in first year. And in second year, the skills topics are groups and communities, decolonising social work and practising social work. So they're the three skills topics in second year. So you can see that as you move through the Bachelor of Social Work, you increase your load of social work specific topics. If you do have any particular questions pertaining specifically to your study program, I really recommend that you post those through Ask Flinders. They should be able to answer any questions that you have about your own personal study plan. So that's the first and second year programs. And this is the third and fourth year of the Bachelor of Social Work. And you can see there the two large field education placements. So these are the placements that are 500 hours. And it might be worth speaking to other students in third and fourth year about whether they've been able to find a balance between paid work, their field education placement, and family commitments. But my strong understanding is that it's not possible to find that balance. It's a very difficult balance, and that you might need some leave from your paid work to be able to undertake those field placements, unless you work sort of after hours. But it is a very heavy load. It's basically a full semester of working 4 days a week. And so keep that in mind early as you start to think about how you're going to be able to work to do those field education placements. You can also see in fourth year there are two option topics. Those option topics can be selected from across the university. And there is a list of recommended option topics as well. If honours is something that you're thinking of undertaking, the Bachelor of Social Work honours program looks slightly different to the Bachelor of Social Work course program. You can see some of the differences here. In terms of entry into the Bachelor of Social Work honours, about halfway through first semester of your third year, you'll be invited to apply. It's a competitive process, and there are limited places in the Bachelor of Social Work honours program. So you'll be invited to apply. If you are interested, you can put your application in, and if you're selected, you will start your honours program in second semester of your third year in your program. The study plan looks slightly different if you're a mid-year entry student, but we kind of make it work anyway. So you will do a slightly different research and evaluation topic called Research Practices and Principles. You would undertake slightly different advanced social work theories and violence and abuse topics within 4th year. But the major piece of work that you'll be working towards is a social work honours thesis. And you can see that there's 13.5 units across a full year, which is dedicated to doing a small piece of research and writing that up into a social work honours thesis. And so it's a relatively substantial piece of work, 13,500 words, and it does some of the opportunities that you have from doing an honours thesis is that it potentially lines you up for further study. If you're thinking of doing any postdoctoral studies such as a PhD or master's by thesis, it sets you up for doing having those opportunities, or for applying for research assistant or evaluation roles within a variety of different human service organisations as well. So it does set you up for a slightly different trajectory, but you can also be doing it doesn't limit you to those positions either. So you still have all of the usual social work jobs to apply for, but you may be prioritised in terms of thinking about research positions as well. So the Bachelor of Social Work aims to support your learning. We want to develop your knowledge and skills so that you're able to practice responsibly and reflectively as a professional social worker, consistent with the expectations of the AASW. You may have heard in the news recently that we have just in South Australia become a registered profession. How that rolls out is still to be seen, but at the end of last year the Social Work Registration Act was passed, and so that will have implications for your practice here in South Australia as well. We ask that you engage in inclusive and ethical professional social work practice, so we're hoping we prepare you for that. We want to be able to prepare you to critically reflect and comment on relevant current social justice debates. We want to provide you with an education about colonial history of Australia and the long-term effects for First Nations Australians. Provide knowledge about current evidence-based professional social work practice models and approaches. Provide you with the ability to research and assess the value of research to support social work practice, and articulate a social work practice framework for inclusive and ethical professional social work practice and practice research. Provide you with professional values, knowledge and skills, and demonstrate your those within your ability to make professional judgments and good decisions in relation to your social work practice. We want you to be aware of the cultural context of practice as well, and how they apply to specific situations and populations. And we provide you with quite a diverse degree, providing with the ability to practice interpersonal, so one-to-one, but also with groups and communities, across social policy with families, and across research. So it is a generic degree, allowing you to practice as a social worker in a variety of different professional contexts. I would now like to invite Luke to introduce himself. I'm going to switch this off now because we have basically questions. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm hoping Luke's still here with us.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I wonder if you might introduce yourself, Luke, and tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey to social work, and a bit about what your On Life campus has been like so far.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the opportunity, Michelle. I just like to start off by acknowledging I'm coming to you guys from the lands of the Kaurna people, paying my respects to Kaurna elders, past, present, and emerging. It's been quite an interesting journey for me. I started my BSW course at Flinders Uni 10 years ago, and then deferred for a semester, and then came back to the course sort of last year. So I didn't think it was going to be a 10-year break, but life and things sort of come along. The biggest thing I can talk to you about essentially is with the comment that I made earlier about how this is a pretty common occurrence for my experience last year. It was the majority of my topics were online last year because of COVID. So what you're sort of seeing here with the presentation and sort of making comments in the chat or turning your microphone and having a bit of a conversation was pretty standard last year. And looks like it will be the common appearance again for this semester. I had a mix of both social work theories and practice topics. So by the sort of semester 2 period last year, I could go in and do some face-to-face stuff because that was a skills lab stuff. So there's some really important things around learning some of that core social work skills and how to develop that interactive approach that's required within social work. Probably the biggest advice I can give you is give yourself time to get to where you need to be. I'm still sort of walking around the uni now thinking I've got it sorted, and then I end up in a walkway or a classroom where I didn't realise that's where I was meant to be. So yeah, it just takes a bit of time, and so it can get a bit stressful trying to find your way around thinking that you know where you are and until you've totally got it sorted. So just allow that extra time. The uni year is a really quick year, so this is probably the best week of the year at the moment because you sort of get to learn new skills and you get to settle in and see what the clubs are around the uni and look at all the interesting and exciting opportunities. And then sort of next week you start to look at lectures and you see what your assignments are, and it starts to feel a bit heavy. So certainly give yourself some time and plan out what's the expectations. I've got myself a yearly planner that I look at sort of every day because it's by the door as I walk into the room, so I see what's due. But there are definitely things in place where you can go and talk to people, or in student services, or if you need a disability learning plan or something along those lines to give you that extra support you need to get through the year, because it's a really big moving piece, this university life. And there's other things. I still also work and have family commitments as well, so there's certainly a lot on in my life. But I'm really passionate about social work, and I had an opportunity just before the start of last year to do a couple of courses, so I had to make a decision around which course I was going to take on. And social work is certainly the most diverse degree and provides many opportunities. So I'm certainly not in a space now where I thought I'd be 10 years ago when I first started the course. I thought I was going to be a bit of a social work practitioner and in case management and working in mental health services, but I actually work in a research space now. So I've certainly shifted my thinking and the ways that I operate, and that's just because of learnings and stuff that come along from engaging within the uni system. So I found all the lecturing staff to be really friendly and very knowledgeable people. So definitely speak up early if there's some issues or there's something you don't quite understand. And when you start to go to tutorials, the people that you meet in there are also really helpful and willing to talk to you about what they're learning or what you're learning. So you can ask lots of questions and just put things in place so that you can actually still enjoy the year as well, because it's actually a really enjoyable process when you're not really stressing about the things that are due. So and the other bit of advice I'd give you is really, if you're driving in, learn the car park system, because it can be really expensive and the fees are pretty hefty. So I hope that helps. That's a really quick oversight of what the year ahead. I want to say good luck to everybody. Definitely get yourself sorted so that you're meeting the required readings and getting to lectures and that sort of stuff, but also find a way to enjoy the year ahead. Thanks.
Thanks, Luke. One thing a couple of things. I put a comment saying we do have some really great social work skills labs, which are really great ways for you to start to develop those interpersonal social work practice skills. The other tip I took from you, Luke, is around parking. And yes, when students come back on campus, it's really hard to get a park. And so getting in early or using public transport is really recommended. And public transport, I imagine, is actually a lot cheaper than paying for parking across the year. Any other questions? Yes, Aisha, there is a recording of this session. It started fairly late, but it will be made available as well. And I'll also try and make the slides available so that you can get in and see some of the links as well. Other questions? How does placement work for part-time students? Sophie, really good question for Janine Harrison. And so she is the field ed coordinator, the academic lead. So I recommend that you attend the next session. She's got a session starting at 10 o'clock, which you can ask that question of her. Brooks asked, if I already have a student card and need the update. Yeah, can you do that online, Brooke, to get an update? Like, do they just extend it, your access, rather than needing a new card? I'd be finding out about that rather than having to come on campus to do that, but just check. I'm not very good at answering your questions, am I? Sorry. Yep, no problems, Aisha. It took a little while for us to get started and to get the recording going. So the first part of the presentation was a bit slow. So you probably didn't miss too much by coming in late. You think you need to go on campus? Yeah, I think you might need to for a new card, but I don't know whether you need for a refresh of your card. So that was the slight nuance difference that I thought about. Where do we go to get onto your online lectures? Ethan, the Flow site, Flinders Learning Online. You should have access to your topics. Within each of the topic, you will find a purple Collaborate logo. Inside that Collaborate logo is your entry point into your weekly lectures. And so into the Collaborate session for each of your topics. So have a look and find out when your lectures are. The Introduction to Social Work is at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays if you're enrolled in that topic, and you should have access to the Introduction to Social Work SOAD 1008 Flow site today. So have a bit of a look around this week, explore the online world of Flow, get to know it, have a look at what's in each of those topic sites.
Michelle, would all of the lectures be recorded for later on as well if you can't make it on that set time?
Yes, this semester all of your lectures will be recorded. Yep. The ones that you need to be aware of may not be are the skills sessions. Okay. So where there is an expectation that you be on campus, those sessions may not be recorded. But otherwise, all of your topics should be recorded and should be placed online. Okay. It will vary. Some of those will be recorded in Collaborate now. I don't know what other first year topics are doing in terms of their delivery, but they should still be recorded. And there could be, if there's no Collaborate sessions, they might be recording it in the lecture theatre. Okay. And those lecture theatre recordings should be available on the Flow site as well.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Fernanda. Fernanda said to refresh your card is on campus for sure. Done last week. Okay, so that's your answer to your question, Aisha. Thanks, Luke. Thanks for coming in. He wishes everyone good luck. Any other questions before we finish up? I think Janine's field ed session is about to start, so you might want to head out of this and head into Janine's field education session. There are a couple of things that are still happening today. and on campus this week. Check out the O Week, Finding Your Way at Flinders sessions, and you'll be able to see. So I think some of those tours are still happening, Jessica, so please have a look, because a lot of those are outdoors rather than indoors in a big room. A lot of those sessions are still happening on campus. I look forward to meeting you face to face at some point. Until then, enjoy the start of your social work, and if you've got any questions, put them in the BSW Flow Site discussion forum. All the best with your social work journey. Thank you.